Your Excellencies, honorable representatives of the government, the Consular Corps of Serbia, and most of all, our beloved guests who are here from Kosovo and Metohija to speak to us directly from their hearts and from their painful experience, first-hand experience, about all of that which is now transpiring in our beloved heartland, Kosovo and Metohija. I come to you as a representative of our Serbian Orthodox Church and as the Bishop of Eastern America, in the first place, bearing the regards and blessings of His Grace, Bishop Teodosie, who is our Bishop of Kosovo and Metohija, Raško-Prizrenski, as we would say in the Serbian language. He is a man who suffers greatly for the sake of his people, and he apologizes that he could not be here with us this morning, as his arch-pastoral duties were those that wanted him to remain behind and stay with his people and to bear at all times and under all circumstances the fate of his people, good, bad, or indifferent. We as a community understand why the church is involved hand in hand, as you can see even on this poster, in this gathering and in the question of Kosovo and Metohija, for many reasons. As Orthodox Christians, it is readily obvious to us, as the church is a state-creating church. There are many more reasons. If you look at the name itself that we use in Serbian for this province, we simply do not refer to it as Kosovo, but as Kosovo and Metohija. And as all of you know, the Greek word metochion, metoch, means an ecclesiastical subsidiary. The church is, was, and should be the majority landowner of Kosovo and Metohija. And this is one reason why the church's presence is no longer requested by our opposition in that province, because wherever there stands a Serbian Orthodox church, a Serbian Orthodox monastery, wherever you see a Serbian monk, nun, priest, faithful, they are no longer desirable because that indicates the enduring presence of the church. His Excellency had mentioned, and rightfully so, that we are in great need of being ambassadors, one and all, each and every one of us, for this burning question of Kosovo and Metohija, because we need friends. We need to restore relations. We need to be bold. We need to step forward and not to merely say, "What can I do?" Everyone, without exception, in this room can do a lot. If you look again at the title, Kosovo and Metohija, where did we gain, shall we say, quote unquote, the legal right to use this in our terminology, although it is for us our inherent right, and we will never give that up. But it was a remarkable man, Rabbi Arthur Schneier of Park East Synagogue, who is the head of the Appeal of Conscience Foundation. And if it was not for the outreach of the Serbian Orthodox Church toward this man and for his involvement in the negotiations, we would have been stripped of that right. And he came up with the formulation that Kosovo would be used in all international documents. The Albanians would use Kosova in their documents, and the Serbs, for all of our documents, keep our inherent right to use Kosovo and Metohija. We owe this man a debt of gratitude. But you see, it's a relation, a deep personal relationship that has fostered this within his being so that he could stand up and defend our rights. Many other things can indeed be accomplished. I have spoken in years past, and I will simply recapitulate very briefly what can be done. I spoke last year about how it was possible to be able to establish a relationship with Kofi Annan of the United Nations. and to be able to take a delegation of our church to him at the United Nations and to prepare for that which is all important in our discussions, the ask. Because we Serbs, when we talk, often are accused of, we know what you don't want, but what do you want? And this is the inherent difference. And so I told Bishop Theodosia, the ground is prepared, make your ask for protectorate zones around monasteries. Where would we be today without those protectorate zones? We would no longer exist on Kosovo and Metohija. And thank God for that. Personal involvement through the church, also in an international conference in Vienna, was able to block a segment which was going to be introduced diplomatically into the constitution, draft constitution of Kosovo, which would have insisted on the formation of an autocephalous Kosovar Orthodox Church, allegedly predicated upon canon law of the Orthodox Church. Of course, a gross abuse of canon law and misinterpretation of the same. And, as was mentioned to you when we heard about the expulsion of this abbot from the north of Kosovo, it would have also mandated that the head of this church would have to be born in Kosovo. Otherwise, he could not be there. We would lose the vast majority of our clerics. Our bishop would no longer be able to remain there, and so on. And so this was blocked. We were also able to save during the pogrom of 2004 through direct and personal involvement, and God bless the good memory of the late Senator George Vojinović. Being able to be in contact with him, we were able to stop the tearing down of Gračanica monastery when we heard that 2 busloads of Albanians were coming to tear it down, and if they succeeded, they would move on progressively to tear down Dečani. Where would we be today? One man was able to do this. And so this outreach is a very effective tool, and it is something that is given to each and every one of us without exception. The ambassador was exceedingly correct when he noted that the majority of those present are citizens of the United States of America. And even our church here is a domestic church, shall we say, albeit our headquarters are in Belgrade, Serbia, and rightfully so. But we here have a vested interest. I bear a burden that other bishops do not bear in the United States of America, in that within my canonical territory of Eastern America, I have 3 major world cities. Washington, whether we like it or not, and many don't like it, but it is a fact, is the seat of world power. Then we go to New York. It is the seat of diplomacy. It is, or I should say up until now it was, the seat of financial dealings in the United States of America and internationally. And Boston, which is the new Athens, the seat of education. And I, as a bishop, cannot be indifferent. I have to engage and be involved with all of these institutions. Otherwise, why am I here? Because I represent you, my beloved people, my faithful. And so this is part of my task. But your task is also likened unto mine. How do we move forward? First of all, it is obvious in diplomacy how one presents themselves is how one will be received. And too often we make a mistake, a very honest and well-intended mistake, by whenever Kosovo is mentioned in any capacity whatsoever, the first thing we say, yes, 1389. And the people look at us and say, why are you avoiding the present day situation? Notice our ambassador today began with what has transpired recently, what is at hand now. The secret is to be able to speak directly to the heart. Boom. Tell them exactly what is going on now. And then if they need more information, you can delve back into history and begin explaining. And at all times, something that I had learned from Patriarch Pavle, which is deeply embedded in my heart of hearts, is that when you speak, if you want to make an impact, Don't worry about embellishing. Simply speak the truth, because as he mentioned, the truth is not a mere commodity with which one can barter. The truth cannot be traded, it cannot be sold, it cannot be purchased. Truth is truth. And as Orthodox Christians, there is yet another level to the understanding of truth. Truth for us, as Patriarch Pavle would note, is person. The person of Jesus Christ, truth incarnate. And so when you speak the truth, you speak of Christ, essentially. And when you are armed with Christ, as it is written in the Epistle to the Romans, be armed with the armor of truth. And when you put on a breastplate, a shield of truth, who can do anything to you? You can move forward and you can make a difference. As I had mentioned about representation and how you are to present yourselves while doing this, I pause in my remarks to congratulate yet again His Excellency for the remarkable job he has done in acquiring a new residence, or I should say refurbishing the residence and acquiring a new embassy here, a residence which was purchased by the great ambassador Konstantin Fotić, intended for King Peter II, and it's now gone back to its radiant glory of what it once was. This is representation. This is how you tell people, look, this is who we are as a people, as a nation. We are no longer in some rented facility. Serbia has a home here in Washington, D.C. Serbia now has a new home in New York City. These are all very crucial elements, and we can point to them with great pride, because pride is not a sin. Vanity is that which can become a sin. There's a difference between ponos, as we say in Serbian, which is actually a Greek word, ponos, and gordost. Ponos, which we translate as pride, in the Greek language means to bear your pain with dignity. None of this aioimene. When you go to speak, you don't have to regret anything. You come there with this ponos, all the pain that we carry with us of what's going on now in Kosovo and Metohija, and speak. Speak the truth. Each of you have congressional representatives. Each of you have local congressmen. Each of you have United States congressmen. Speak to them. Speak to them, but know what you're going to say. Be armed with truth. Be armed with knowledge. Go. Do something. You are their constituents. You vote for them. You have a right to ask them what you want and what you need for your people. Others do. Others are proactive. We cannot merely be constantly reactive. We have to take the first step on our own and present us as we would like to have people receive us. And if we do this, we will be able to go forward. And so, these days, you've probably heard of the wonderful outreach that has been accomplished with the members of the diplomatic corps here in Washington, D.C., with the members of the think tank community. These are essential components because they are the ones who can conceptualize public opinion here in Washington, D.C., and then with their own nations. However, there is the congressional vote. When Claudia Tenney, our marvelous representative from the state of New York, who is also one of the co-chairs of the Serbian caucus, was invited to a dinner on Thursday evening. And in a discussion, she told us how she is always defending us. She speaks Serbian. She lived in the former Yugoslavia. She was educated there in part and so on. She knows us from the inside, shall we say. But she told us how hard it is because of the image that we've been given, the tarnished image in the media here, to try to convince her colleagues that the Serbs are indeed a good people, that she knows them. She's not simply speaking off the cuff, but it's first-hand knowledge. And she tries to convince them, but she's not able to do it on her own. She needs our help in order to continue her work. We have Serbs who live in her district. We have even one church that's rather nearby. It's not exactly within her district, but people from that parish live within her district. And so it is my intention to invite her to come to our parish in Lackawanna and to be with us so that we can show her our gratitude, so people can interface with her. We had other representatives here. How wonderful it is to be able to drive down to Baltimore, or I should say drive up from here to Baltimore, I'm thinking in New York terms, and to look and see the Helen Delic Bentley port of Baltimore. Helen Delic Bentley, an American-born Serb, a congresswoman, a very brave woman. When I lived in Chicago, and if my phone would ring any time before 6 a.m., I knew it was Helen Bentley on the line needing some kind of information. And she was bold. Svaka joj čast I večan joj spomen. She would go forward and she would tell it to you as it is, whether you liked it or not, whether it was popular or not, whether it was presented as disinformation. She would blow them apart with her presentations, and pardon my use of such vernacular. But she was a wonderful woman, somebody who I deeply admired and continue to admire her memory. As I've mentioned also, we've had Senator Voinovich and others like that. I look at all of us. When I go to my churches, I look at our children and think to myself, what are we doing? Can we educate a future president of the United States of America from our American-born Serbs? Can we bring forward another congressman, congresswoman, a senator, judge? This is our duty. This is our duty, and we cannot be lax in doing this. And so my appeal to you is, please, let us move forward together, hand in hand, and as the ambassador mentioned, we are much stronger in that way. Bishop Nikolai, the great contemporary saint, likens it unto small streams that flow in the winter. If a stream flows by itself as a tributary, it will freeze in the cold. But when those streams converge together and they flow together as one mighty river, they cannot freeze over in the cold of winter. And we Serbs will not freeze over if we work together. Jer zaista samo sloga Srbina spasava. Thank you, and God bless you.